Hello again, folks. I know what you're thinking. Two videos in the space of minutes. In fact, it's actually three because I've recorded one for my music channel as well. Anyway, it's just that in the last week and a half, week and a half, I've had quite a lot of science fiction and fantasy books come through the door. So I thought I'd better show you what I've managed to pick up. These are from three different sources. First off, we have some books gifted to me. This is what we would call in the vinyl community, the VC, a VCLT, which stands, I think, for Vinyl Community Love Train. It's when one member of the community passes on records to another gratis. So as this is BookTube BTLT, BookTube Love Train. It sounds more like a sandwich than anything else. Anyway, I've mentioned it before, but these books came from the wonderful Kenny Howes of the channel Kenny RH. We've swapped boxes of books previously, and we've done it again just this last week or so. And I'll show the books that came from Kenny. Really pleased with these. First up is James Blish's The Warriors of Day. I read some Blish way back. I think I read Case of Conscience and Cities in Flight, but I've not read any for years. This is a Lancer book. The original story was from 1951, but this edition is from 1967. Excellent. Second up, I was pleased to get this one. This is Roger Zelazny's This Immortal, a writer I've liked in the past. This one, when I tried to find it on eBay, is a difficult one to find. So I was really pleased when this was offered to me by Kenny. This is from Ace, and it's 1966, definitely vintage. Next up, I love my anthologies, and this is the Novellas book, the Science Fiction Hall of Fame, the Novellas, Book 2, edited by Ben Bover. I've got books 1 and 3, so I was missing 2, so that'll slot in nicely between them. I think there's only 3 in the series. And this features 4 novellas: Universe by Robert A. Heinlein, Vintage Season by Henry Kuttner and C.L. Moore, writing as Lawrence O'Donnell, The Ballad of Lost Camel by Cordwainer Smith, and With Folded Hands by Jack Williamson. And speaking of Kuttner and Moore, C.L. Moore, sorry, brain fart there, he sent me this book, The Coming of the Terrans by Lee Brackett being the name that, or one of the names that Moore and Kuttner wrote under. Set on Mars, could Earthmen stand against the forgotten science of the Red Planet? Sounds very much in that sort of Edgar Rice Burroughs vein. This one is another Ace book, and the original story dates back to the early 50s, or even the 40s, to be honest. Looks like it's a fix-up, and this paperback is from 1967. Next up, a series I know that Kenny collects, these Corgi SF Collectors Libraries. I remember seeing loads of these way back, but I don't own any at the moment. The ones I've seen online tend to be pretty battered, or they're books I own in other editions. So at the moment, I'm not really collecting this series, but I do like the livery, and they come with a lovely textured covers. And this is a selection of short stories by one of the big three, Arthur C. Clarke. When's this from? This is, Corgi edition is a reprint from 1974. Pleased to get that. One author who I've never read, but I want to try fairly soon, is Jack Vance, and this is his novel, The Eyes of the Overworld. Now, I think he's famous for the Dying Earth series, and I think this is the second. I've got the first. So this is highly recommended by Kenny. So I'm going to try and get the first one read soon, and then move on to this. I don't think that necessarily you have to read them in any particular order, but it's nice to. I'm a bit like that. I like to read them in the published order if possible. And this is a Mayflower edition from 1972. Next, we have one that I've actually got that survived my purge of all my books about 11 years ago, and that's a book of short stories by A. Van Vogt, Away and Beyond. But my edition is a later one. It's not this one. I just love that cover, the style of it. This is an early Panther paperback. It's in excellent condition, nice spine. So I am looking forward to rereading these. This is from 1963, so a nice early edition. Next up is an author I've got a number of books by in the the Door collection that I showed in a previous video. And this is C.J. Cherry. Now, her most famous work is Down Below Station, which I think is one of the Door ones, but it's not one I've got. And it's, of all her books, I think that's the one I would love to read, because I think did it win the Hugo or the Nebula? Maybe both, I don't know. And this is Merchant's Luck. Sorry. And it's a Down Below Station novel. Now, I don't know whether they're direct sequels or just set in the same universe. But like I say, I really want to try. I've got to try and get hold of a copy of Down Below Station. This one is a later edition in Methuen from 1984. Next up, he sent me 3 additions to my Door collection. The first one, I'll put them in correct order. Right, first one is number 97, and that's Prescott of Antares series, number 5 by Alan Burt Akers. Who was he? Is he Keith Laumer? Oh my memory. Anyway, there were God knows how many in this series, and this is Prince of Scorpio. The spine's a little faded, but to be honest, I'm just happy to have these in my collection. Like Kenny's, I like the stamps in there. This is Silly Things. Belsize Road, Kilburn, and another one for Gabriel's Bookshop, Walm Lane, Northwest 2. So this is part of the history of the actual volume. This covers by Jack Gochan, and this is a first printing from 1974. The next one is book 130, and is The Fenris Device by Brian Stapleford. Now I have this, but not as part of the Door collection, so I'll probably keep both, to be honest. This is the Star Pilot Granger series of books. This is number 5 in that series, but it's also, I think, known as the Hooded Swan series. Who did the cover? Kelly Freas. Probably should have recognised that. And it's again from 1974, first printing. And finally from Kenny, another Dre Prescott one, number 18 in the series. And this is Door book number 317, Golden Scorpio. Again, faded spine, but yeah, don't mind that. I thought that was it's a Josh Kirby cover, and this is the first printing from 1978. I'm going to have to try these Trey Prescott ones. They're probably going to be very pulpy, but it could be good fun. So that's what came from Kenny. If you don't know his channel, please check it out. It's excellent. He's a really friendly guy. And so thank you very much, Kenny, for those. Much appreciated. Nice additions to my collection. The next 3 are from a subscription service I subscribe to called the Gently Used Book Club, which tries to send out, rescue old paperbacks so they're not just pulped or binned. So you sign up to be sent either 1, 2, 3, or 4 books a month. It's up to you, and you choose the genre in which you wish to have these books in. So I went for 4 books a month from the vintage science fiction genre, and I've been very pleased with what I've got. I've been probably doing it for a year, and in that period I've only had a couple of books that I've already got, which is quite amazing given the amount I've been buying off eBay. But no, I'd recommend the Gently Used Book Club. I think for 4 books it's $13.99 a month. Yeah, which isn't bad, really. So this is the latest ones I got for June. I'm only going to show 3. They did send me 4, but the 4th one was a copy of Captive Universe by Harry Harrison. So I've put that off to one side because I already have that edition. So that will hopefully find a home somewhere sometime. First off, I was really pleased to see this. This is The Drowned World by J.G. Ballard, one of the main guys in the British New Wave in the 60s and 70s. Ballard is very difficult to find at a good price. His stuff usually is quite expensive. So this is the first of his novels I think I've got. I've got a short story collection, but this is the first novel I've managed to acquire. So I was really pleased with that. This is a Penguin edition. The book was first published back in 1962. This is a 1974 reprint with a cover illustration by David Pelham. Next one was an author I've never heard of, Edward Andrew Mann, and his novel The Portals, a mind-bending novel of cosmic horror. Sounds right up my street. Voyage through the voids of time and space to the portals of hell. So, like I said, I've never heard of him. This is a Panther edition, originally written in 1974. This is a 1978 edition. I'm looking forward to that one. I must admit, it sounds intriguing. And the last one from Gently Used Book Club is quite a famous one, I think, but I've never read. Venus Plus X by Theodore Sturgeon. He's best according to Frederick Paul. He was a stranger in the strangest new world ever. So I don't think I've read some short stories by Sturgeon, but I don't think I've ever read a novel. This is in Sphere Science Fiction, copyright originally 1960. This is a 78 reprint. So that's the ones from the Gently Used Book Club. Now, the rest of them, there's probably, I don't know, about 20 books. I took a trip out to Carlisle, our largest, only city here in Cumbria. There's a really good bookshop there called Bookcase, second-hand bookshop. So I visited that, and I did the trolls of the charity shops as well. Don't know what it is about the charity shops here in Cumbria. They're very poor for genre fiction, even newer fiction, newer science fiction, etc. Yeah, I never see. So that was a bust, really. Apart from one, I think it was Oxfam. I did find this omnibus edition of Harry Harrison's Death World books. How many was there in there? 3, Death World 1, 2 and 3. I like Harrison, find him great fun. This omnibus edition is from 1999. I think the original stories go back to the 60s. So at least I got one book from the charity shops. But the rest of them came from Bookcase. Which if you live in this part of the world or you're ever in Carlisle, recommend visiting. I picked up some decent ones here. So first up we have Mac Reynolds with Earth Unaware. His godlike power held an entire planet spellbound. Lovely condition. These were all about either £2 or £3, I think, the paperbacks. Yeah, this one was £2. Got a few by Mac Reynolds now, but I've not read any. This is an Ace paperback from 1983. Funny, I thought that was an older one. Looks it, but no, 83. Next is a brand new, well, I say a brand new anthology, but a modern anthology. The year's best SF, number 3, edited by David G. Hartwell. Harper edition from, what's the year? This was printed in 1998. So I presume it refers to 1997 as the best SF for 1997. You get loads of these years best F. And because I love my anthologies, I try and collect them whenever I see them. But there must be so much repetition you'd have thought between them. You get authors like Gene Wolfe, Jack Williamson, William Gibson, Gregory Benford, Robert Silverberg, the wonderful Ray Bradbury, one of my favourites, Brian Stableford, Kim Newman, another author I really enjoy, and the wonderful Michael Moorcock as well. One whose work I've still yet to read is Piers Anthony. I've not read any of his, and he's such a prolific author. Interested to know where I should start. I've started to get a few into my collection, but I've not read any yet. If you have any recommendations of which are his best books, please let me know. This is, I think, a part of a series, and it's for Thor. I don't know how you meant to pronounce it. A spine-thrilling space saga set in the caverns of Chthon. Love that cover. Yeah. So this is a Panther science fiction book. Is it? I'm just going to see. Yeah, I think there are 3 in this. There's Thor, Chthon, and Step. And this is originally 1978, reprinted 1986. One I've heard of but never read, never even read anything about it. I think this is in the the Golan Set Masterworks series, is Bring the Jubilee by Ward Moore. This is from New English Library's Master SF series, edited by Aldous and Harrison. It says, I think it is an alternate history story. First published in 1955, and this edition is 1976. Now, my first video was a load of ace doubles where you flipped the books over. I never realised that Tor did the same thing later on. This is the first one I've come across, a Tor double. This is Tor double number 10, and the first book is by Robert Silverberg, Sailing to Byzantium. And when you flip it over, you get Gene Wolfe's 7 American Nights. Like I say, I've never seen this, the Tor doubles before. This copyrighted 85, but this first Tor edition is 1989. Cover art by Brian Waugh. And there's some big names in this series. There's Arthur C. Clarke, Kim Stanley Robinson, Greg Bear, Brian Aldiss, Poul Anderson, Fritz Leiber, Vonda McIntyre, Lee Brackett, Edmund Hamilton, Asimov, Sturgeon, James Tiptree Jr., Zelazny. So I'll be keeping an eye out for more of this series. Oh, it's beautiful condition. Next up, Ron Goulart with The Fire Eater. Great scaly dragons roam the dunes, unreal beasts resurrected daily in the mirage belt. Sounds intriguing. This is an ace book, and this one is classed as a vintage. This 1970 copy, decent condition. One of my favourite authors when I was reading science fiction a lot was John Brunner, but mainly all I ever read were his famous novels, I think of the 60s or 70s. I things like Jagged Orbit and Stand on Zanzibar. I didn't realise how prolific he'd been earlier, and I've been collecting a whole bunch of his earlier work. And this is his Into the Slave Nebula, Corgi edition. Again, beautiful condition. And this is, it's not that early. It's 60, was originally printed by Lancer Books in 1968. And this Corgi edition is from 1982. Next up, we have another book by Brian M. Stableford, and this is Wild Blood's Empire. Again, looks like it hasn't been read. Nice cover. The Daedalus Mission 3. So this is part of his Daedalus series. Don't know how many books there are in that. I don't think I've got any of the earlier ones, so I'll have to wait to read this one. This dates back to 1977. This Hamelin edition was from 1979, so just barely vintage. Next, an anthology which I've got, I think, books 2 and 3 of already. So I was pleased to find Continuum Book 1, edited by Roger Elwood. So there's quite striking cover. All of the 3 have very good covers, actually. Oh, there's 4 in total, so I think I've got another one to get. Originally published by Star. Yeah, it's a Star book in 1977. You get stories by Philip Jose Farmer, Poul Anderson, Anne McCaffrey, Gene Wolfe, and Dean R. Koontz. Nice one. Pleased to find that. Next, a Philip Jose Farmer novel, The Green Odyssey. I don't know what, I think this might be a standalone one. By Sphere from reprinted 1983. The story's in 1957. Then a couple of additions to my door books. I was pleased to be able to find those. This is book number 364, so late in the series. And this is an anthology, Amazons, High Adventures in Heroic Fantasy, edited by Jessica Amanda Salmonson. So this is obviously a fantasy one. The spine's again faded, but what can you do? This was only a couple of quid. This is a first print in 1979. The cover artwork is by Michael Whelan, and you get stories by C.J. Cherry. I was going to say by Emily Bronte. The Death of Augusta by Emily Bronte, edited by Joanna Russ. You get Andre Norton, Tanith Lee, Elizabeth A. Lynn, all female writers. No, I didn't come to mind there. All the writers I've heard of, but not actually read. So that'll be interesting. And the second one was book 124 in the Door series, A Touch of Infinity by Howard Fast. This is an anthology of 13 new stories of fantasy and science fiction by an author I've not read. This is from first printing October 1974, and the cover's by Charles Gross. Last two of the paperbacks. This is another James Blish one, A Voyage into Deeper Space and Total Suspense, Mission to the Heart Stars, with a wonderful Chris Foss cover. So I don't know if this is part of a series or it's a standalone. Superb condition. 1965 novel. This is a 1980 Granada edition. Finally, the paperbacks. Stanley G. Weinbaum's, part of the Sphere Classics, SF Classics series, number 14. Another series I don't think I've got anything by. This is The New Adam, described as a long neglected milestone in science fiction. Again, beautiful condition. And this is originally written back in 1939. This is a 1974 edition. But apart from those paperbacks, I also managed to pick up, I think, 4 hardbacks. The hardbacks went for about £5 to £8. It varied. This is one. I made a big mistake with this. This is an anthology, Universe 1, edited by Terry Carr. Now, I had 2 in this series, and in the shop they had volumes 1 and 2, and I, for some reason, thought I've got 2. The ones I've got were volumes 2 and 3. Turned out the volumes I've got are 3 and 4, so I left volume 2, and I wish I hadn't now, because I'm a completist. Hopefully it'll still be there when I ever get around to making another trip to Carlisle, which probably won't be soon. Yeah, I love my anthologies. This is one containing stories by Gregory Benford, Robert Silverberg, he's in all of them, R.A. Lafferty, Wilson Tucker, Barry N. Maltzberg, Joanna Ross from Goulart, Edgar Pangborn and others. And it's from Dobson Books, originally copyrighted by Terry Carr in 1971. This is first published in Great Britain by Dobson in 1975. Second up, these are all anthologies, by the way. This is quite striking. I love the colours on this. Dimension X, 5 science fiction novellas compiled by Damon Knight. An author in his own right, but I think best known as a editor. This is Gollanc's book from 1970. So that's quite an early one. Some couple of famous stories start this off. You have Heinlein's The Man Who Sold the Moon. Was that expanded then for the novel? It's about 110 pages here. Oh, don't know. And one I have heard of, C.M. Cornbluth's The Marching Morons. You also then get Fiddler's Green by Richard McKenna, The Saliva Tree by Brian W. Aldiss, and The Ugly Little Boy by Isaac Asimov. Next one is a series I've never seen before. This is Aries 1 in the Science Fiction Book Club, which is, I think, part of Readers Union or something. Science Fiction Book Club. Not exactly an interesting cover. This is from 1979 and features stories by Gary Kilworth, Bob Shaw, Robert Holstock, Christopher Priest, David Langford, Colin Wilson, and others. So I have to keep an eye out for others in that series. And finally, this one, gonna like that cover, Worlds Apart, science fiction story selected by Amabel Williams Ellis and Mabley Owen. This is printed by Blackie and Son, never heard of them, and was originally 1966. This has been reprinted in 1972. Seems there's a whole other series of anthologies by these editors called Out of This World, of which there were 10. Don't know how many of Worlds Apart. It's not numbered, so it might be the only one. And you get stories by Murray Leinster. You get John Wyndham's Consider Our Ways, which I've got in another short story collection by Wyndham. Story by Damon Knight, James White, Olaf Stapledon, The Last and First Men. Again, that was a novel, wasn't it? So it was a really fruitful trip. It was my bag was quite heavy coming back. Lots there to add to my collection. So that's it for today. I don't think I'll be doing another video today, but there's plenty still to show. So I hope you found something you liked. If there's anything there that you've read, and let me know what you thought of them. I'm always pleased to hear from people. Thank you to everybody who's watched so far and commented. So hopefully it won't be too long before I do another video, because the books are piling up to show, so I need to get videos done. Anyway, thank you again to Kenny for the books and for the shout out in his recent video. Much appreciated. Everybody take care, and hopefully see you soon. Bye.